So, questions regarding the late actor Chadwick Boseman's death have resurfaced as his widow, wife, if you will, same thing, has come out saying that he, or they, I should say, didn't have a will, even though they knew he was terminally ill and was on the path towards an early death. And this has really sparked some or reignited some speculation around the real cause of his death and maybe the circumstances around the whole situation. And I want to get into that right now because something about his death was actually off from the beginning after I heard this news, especially as more details came out about the secrecy around it and kind of how long term this illness was, but also seeing some of the things that he was doing career wise at the same time. So it was very, something about it was just off to me, and I actually held my tongue up until now, and all I did really was share some cryptic things that I'll talk about later on. But anyways, let's just jump right into it. But actually, before we jump into it, if you want weekly, throughout the week, videos about social, political, and cultural commentary and cultural topics, make sure to subscribe to my channel, whether you're on YouTube or you are on Rumble, and turn on post notifications on YouTube by ringing the bell, and on Rumble, whatever means of turning on post notifications, make sure to do that before we continue on. So let's jump into it. So the first thing I thought was, okay, if there was no living will, this just kind of supports the idea that maybe we're not getting the full truth about the actual cause of his death. Because if your spouse isn't someone that you would be hiding this from, and I know that a lot of the news around his death was that he kept it very secret, very private. Only the closest people that he's known knew about it, and it appears that they did a really good job of being loyal and not exposing this information to anybody that would leak it to the media or talk about it accidentally. So I thought that was an interesting thing, that if you knew you were sick, from what I've heard, they known for like 4 years, or he's been sick for 4 years or more, you would think you would start kind of getting things in order for an eventual death, unless you were completely in denial or being lied to, or it's not the actual case of what happened, and the 4-year battle with colon cancer was just a cover. We don't know. And as far as death is concerned, like I said before, this could be an indication that we may not be getting the real story. So, to be honest, before I go any further, it doesn't really matter, to be honest, how someone really dies, if they're opening up and telling us the truth, or opting to keep it private or keep the cause of death private. To me, the problem is when you are openly lying about what is happening. I would completely respect them if they just said, he's passed away, unfortunately, and we would like to keep the cause of death private at some point. But I would completely respect that. But I think, and I'll talk about this later on, the truth will come out eventually, especially if you're someone who is in the public eye. So to me, things just don't add up. So I wrote down three kind of general questions, and then I have some more thoughts after that. But one, I just don't understand how you can be terminally ill for years and no one find out or know because of symptoms and whatnot, without that really showing. And I don't understand how all the people, and I understand how actually all the people react differently to certain illnesses, but there is some pattern normally, and especially since he allegedly passed away from a known illness. It's not like it just it's not an illness that no one's ever had before. We don't know what it is, and there was no like signs or patterns that it was something known, or whatever the case may be. And I think that is the interesting part to this entire thing. And to me, it was convenient to a convenient statement, or an easy thing to kind of calm some nerves or ease some people questioning the whole illness, to say that he worked between surgeries and between treatments. And also, wouldn't that just indicate that his illness may have been under control, which may indicate it wasn't as deadly or as terminal as we thought, if there was treatments and surgeries that prolonged or kept him going. Like I said before, everyone obviously reacts differently to different illnesses, or maybe it took a quick turn for the worse very quickly towards the end, where they maybe didn't know he was gonna succumb to this illness and they thought he was okay. I don't know, but that was another thing. And then on that same note, I don't understand how you would be able to keep the illness secret from everyone except those closest to you if these films have many people involved that he probably wouldn't consider close to him, whose schedules are coordinated to create whatever product they're creating. Of course, this would be like movies. And I mean, maybe he had to turn down projects because of the illness, because he had like surgeries and treatments that were scheduled. And it happens to be that the ones that worked out were the ones we saw, and they happened to be successful. Movies that really brought him into the mainstream and brought him into a new height in his career, I don't know. But as far as theories that have been going around, whether it's comment sections or just in general, people were wondering how he got colon cancer, which I've seen some say that colon cancer is common in sexually active people who like stimulation anally, I guess. I mean, there's no other way to go around it. And some are indicating that he may have died from something you can contract through that means of sexual behavior, and that colon cancer covered was a natural parallel story to explain for an explanation without giving the full story. That is what I've heard some people say. Now, the reason this should be of interest, I think, in talking about it, is because if you're hiding the true illness that you have, and it's an illness that could spread to other people if you don't tell them, I mean, you could say that is irresponsible, and especially in times of conversation around infectious diseases and contagion and spreading of something that you have yourself, maybe you don't know you have or whatnot. I think this would be a bad look for them to kind of explain that it wasn't a cancer thing and it was actually something that you can contract in other ways. And of course, the speculation is in reference to a sexually transmitted disease, which of course conversations about sexual activity has led to society kind of accepting a norm of the fact that consent by both parties is kind of the rule we want to follow or holding people accountable to follow, whereas the airborne disease that is COVID-19 is something that can spread whether you consent or not consciously or subconsciously, because I have thought of kind of them as similar things because they're both infectious, I think are considered infectious disease or can spread. But of course, one is airborne and one is not, so I don't think we can put them necessarily in the same category, but I think it's important to kind of explain in this era where we're talking about contagion and spreading something and whatnot around health, that it was important to touch on that, because I know a lot of people might comment about that and saying how could you be okay with spreading a virus through the air or how could you be not panning someone for like not wearing a mask, for instance, or not social distancing, but pan someone for spreading an STD or whatever it may be. Anyways, I don't think they're exactly the same, but I understand the conversation. Anyways, so to me, the story about the living will not existing by his widow, his wife when he was alive, really set off those red flags that I was trying to ignore to kind of give this story the benefit of the doubt. Because of course, when he first passed away, I mean, the last thing I would want if someone around me passed away was people to speculate on what was happening, especially if you're a public figure, when you're just trying to figure out and trying to pick up the pieces from something. But that's why this story is weird, because if you've known you're ill for 4 years or however many years and that it could take a turn for the worse, I would think, especially if you're in a public figure situation, maybe you have more resources at your disposal as an actor in Hollywood who's, from what we see, very successful. Maybe not as successful as we think he was, I don't know. But you think you would be able to kind of start putting things in place. But then on the other side of it, maybe you don't want to start putting things in place because that might expose what you're really going through, and maybe you don't know it's that bad until the very end when it takes a quick turn for the worst. I don't know, but you would think you would have something you could quickly put in writing at least to have something to go off of, and it appears that that's not what happened here. So I don't know. And then the only public comments that I made personally, and I talked about this earlier in the video, were some cryptic posts a few months ago when we had that huge string of Hollywood deaths, from Naya Rivera to, I think, Tamar Braxton allegedly had a suicide attempt. We had all these different I'm missing a few. I think it was Elvis's great grandson. Yeah, he committed suicide. Like, there's this whole bunch of kind of high profile Hollywood entertainment industry deaths, whether it was related to COVID-19 or other things, or all of them were very suspicious, and it appeared, and it gave me this gut instinct that we weren't being told the complete truth on a lot of these things. And so my cryptic kind of post on Parler was I just said, be ready for more of this, alluding to the fact that we don't know, or we're not appearing to be getting the full stories of whatever's happening with these deaths. So I want to wrap up by kind of addressing a few things I know I'm probably going to get, which is, well, one, why does it really matter? If it's a symptom of an industry, to me it's a symptom of an industry that has to milk everything and put up a facade for something, or kind of use it as fodder for furthering an agenda or exploiting it for money or keeping the business alive. But in this case, if they didn't want the truth out there, they shouldn't have announced a cause of death, in my opinion. Also, unfortunately, is when you are a public figure, things come out that you don't want to come out, or that you don't want out there. Even me, I'm not obviously a big person online, but if it gets to the point where I am, or have a substantial following or whatnot, or more well known, I know now, I accept the fact that some things may come out that I don't necessarily want out there, just because of the nature of the business. And so either way, I think the truth about this death has and will come out no matter what, because people will keep questioning and speculating something until it makes sense, or until they feel they have the truth. And I think a lot of the questions I had were things I saw other people talking about, but this story about the will from his wife when he was alive, now his widow, really just piqued my interest again. And I was like, you know what, I think I'm going to talk about this, just to kind of get my thoughts out there. And maybe if you've been feeling certain ways and you maybe feel like you're being disrespectful for questioning this, or you don't feel there's a place for you to kind of share these thoughts, I would like to give you that place here on this video and on my channel to share those thoughts. So let me know in the comment section whether you're on Rumble, on YouTube, or if you share this on Parler, which I'm there as well, the same username. Tag me there and we can chat there as well. Let me know what you think. Did you have the same thoughts as me? Did you change your mind one way or the other, meaning you had the same thoughts as me, now you don't? Let me know what you think in the comment section, and if you are on YouTube, give this video a thumbs up so more people can be involved in this conversation. And if you're on Rumble, give this video a rumble, because a lot of my videos have actually been reaching the top 100 leaderboard on Rumble, which is really exciting because I just joined it last week or less than a week ago, and it's been good to have kind of a backup leading up to what it appears to be big tech and YouTube kind of purging themselves of some people, so I at least have another place to go, and a place that I actually like too, in case for whatever reason one day you come to my channel and it no longer is there for whatever reason. So like I said at the beginning, if you're not subscribed to my channels yet on Rumble or on YouTube, make sure to do that, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye-bye.